brother, this one here really do it for you.
Baby, you need it. Yeah, baby, I need it. Baby, come down to the let me show you how to do it.
Y'all about my big bro Gerard in the podcast crew.
What's up, everybody? Hey, it's Thursday night. You know what time it is. It's time for the Floor is Yours podcast, guys. Every Thursday, we bring the heat. It is our mission to bring conversations that are real and relevant, that brings the community, that moves the community forward. And so every week, we try to do just that. And so we try to entertain, but also educate at the same time. And we love doing it. And we hope you guys enjoy watching us as we enjoy being here every night. But this is called the Floor is Yours podcast. So we don't want you to forget that. You know what? Since it's your podcast, you should flex on your own podcast. So tell all your friends, your family, your neighbors, your sisters, your cousins, everybody in your contact list. Tell them, hey, my podcast is on. The Floor is Yours podcast is on tonight, and they're going to be bringing the heat. So like, share, and subscribe. Tell everybody that it is on. Of course, we're here tonight with another interesting and fiery conversation, but I can't do it by myself. I mean, you wouldn't want me to do it by myself, but I got my main dude right here, my brother from another mother, the ebony to my ivory. Ladies and gentlemen, Gerard, the Flex, the producers in the house. Say what's up to the people.
Hey, what's up, people, man? Hey, how you doing today, my brother Gregory, man? Hey, Misha, we missing you out here. I hope you're tuning in and be back here with us next week.
Absolutely. We missed the queen. This is going to be what I think a really, really great show tonight. This is one of those conversations where you and I get to speak on the men's behalf and try to bridge that gap that a lot of times it could be a little foggy, a little bit interesting. Now, Gerard, you may be too young to remember this, but there used to be a song out back in the day called "Is It Still Good to You?" And so the premise of the song is that this couple, they have reached kind of a wall in their intimacy, and they're questioning each other. Hey, do you still like it? Is it good? Is it still good to you? Because it's not feeling like it used to. So tonight, we're going to talk about how men and women can have that conversation. So tonight, we're going to be talking about men just don't want sex. They need sex. And so we're going to try to present this in a way that that can bridge that gap, that women can kind of get a deeper insight to the needs and how and what sex does for a man, and how men can also reach out to women and communicate their needs so they can have a fun, fulfilling, and fruitful relationship. So I'm excited about this conversation.
Fun, fulfilling, and fruitful. Come on with the F's, man. Hey, and I'm glad you brought up the other side, because the post I made had a good sister of mine in the faith. She asked, she requested that we make sure that we honor why women may not feel led to offer herself up in that those instances. Yeah. So it's not a one-sided, hey, man needs sex, give us sex so we could be happy. It's dual responsibility for a healthy relationship, for a healthy marriage, and we want to make sure that we're speaking from both perspectives.
Absolutely. And so ladies, we need you. We want you to blow us up in the comments. We know that we're probably going to say some things that may step on a few toes, but that's what we're here to do, right? We're here to excite and get that conversation going. So we're going to step on some toes. Thank you. So if you got a question or a comment or you don't agree, let us know. Put it in the comments. We are ready for that smoke tonight. So let's just start from the basics. Let's just start from the beginning. Men and women biologically are wired differently. When God made us, He made us differently. And so within the male, one of the main male hormones is testosterone. And so what testosterone does is that it spikes your adrenaline and it spikes your readiness, if you will. And so a man is always ready to serve and protect, generally, most men with healthy testosterone levels tend to be always ready for a sexual encounter. So, for instance, if Gerard had a loved one in the next room and he heard something that was coming in and threatening his loved one, he wouldn't stop, he wouldn't pause, he wouldn't hesitate, he wouldn't negotiate, he wouldn't procrastinate. He is ready to protect his loved one. That's just part of a man's DNA. We that testosterone gives us that quick response time. And so likewise, when intimacy is introduced, men have a quick response time. It's just DNA. It is not anything that is depraved as much as it is just our wiring. And so, ladies, when when you're around us and even the slightest gesture kind of gets us triggered to move forward, it's just our wiring. And so, as we mature and as we grow, we do have to learn to kind of keep that in check and try to and stay balanced, so we're not just always jumping at every gesture that you make. But men and women biologically are wired differently. And so that's the foundation of it all. And then psychologically, Gerard, did you want to speak to that before I move to the psychological side of it?
No, I like that you addressed that, because it often shows as it's physical, like that's what we want to do. We're in the mood to hump. But I love the way that you frame that, and realizing that it's in our DNA, it is our makeup. And I think that's important for women to know. You know that old book, and we talk about this, Gregory, men are from Mars and women are from Venus. When you understand that we do look at it differently, it can come across as such. But like most things, when you're conversating, when you're communicating in relationship, it's important to understand the differences, not how I think that she should be, or not how she thinks that I should be, but as we're understanding that we both think differently, we both respond differently. And if we're in a relationship of servitude, we're honoring those differences and using those as, it is not just a benefit for me. Let me make sure it's beneficial for you, and I am moving and conducting myself as such. So I think that's important to understand it that way.
You brought up a good point, because some of it, or a lot of it, is just accepting this is just the way it is, right? Grass is green, the sky is blue. And so men are wired for have a quicker response time when it comes to intimacy. Not to say that women don't have large libidos also. It's just men have a quicker response time to it. It's more immediate. And so just to accept that, hey, men are just wired that way. It doesn't make them depraved. It doesn't make them immature. It's just the way that we're wired. So sometimes just accepting it helps bridge that gap also. And not looking at it in a negative way. Gerard, I don't know if you ever heard of this before. So moving a little bit more toward the emotional side, there is something in psychology that we call, and listen, I am a life coach. I'm not out here doing the Dr. Cheyenne Bryant thing. I ain't got no credentials. I'm not trying to pretend to be something that I'm not. But I know what I know, and I'm gonna tell you what I know. There is something in psychology that's called skin hunger. I don't know if you're familiar with this or not, Gerard, but men oftentimes suffer from skin hunger, meaning that men get touched less than women. So if you're a mother, your kids are always on you. If you got a sister, you guys are hugging, or you got your parents, men receive less physical contact than women do. And so what that means is that when we actually do get some physical contact, it is at a higher sight or a higher peak level for us when we receive a hug or a touch or a pat on the back, because men don't get touched. Years ago, I used to not lead, but I was part of the prayer ministry. At the end of the service, people would come down and ask for prayer. Of course, the men would go to the men, women would go to the women. And so during the prayer, I would put my arm around the brother who I was praying for. And many times the man would cry, not because of what he was requesting prayer for, but because he says, this was the first time all week somebody touched me. Which means there's a lot of men who actually go 7 days without being touched. The only time he was touched, or these men were touched, was when they went down to the altar for prayer. That was the only time during the week some white women touched them. So you can imagine what it must be like when you're in a relationship and your lady is with you and you actually get to hold her hand. or you put her hand on her knee, and she puts her hand on your knee, it just kind of takes you there real quickly. So psychologically, it's a source of validation as well.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
It's real meaningful. It's real meaningful. So we get into the space of how do these two people who have different desires, different ways of connecting, how do we make that work? Because for a woman, it's first emotional before it's physical. For a man, it's first physical before it's emotional.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get these two people to meet? And I think that's a lot of the friction that we get throughout these relationships. As I know you probably heard your friends and family talk about it. I know I've heard people talk about it. And so how do we blend the two? Well, first thing we got to do, we got to walk toward each other, which is an interesting concept in it all, meaning that men have to first set the stage for it to occur, which means you have to listen more. You have to be more in tune with what her needs are first. And so, Gerard, I don't know if you share the same opinion, but I think in order for a man's need to be met in that way, he first has to create the atmosphere for his woman to be receptive of that. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree, and specifically in the framework of the Christian marriage, and I think it depends on what framework you are following. You know, we talked about this before the show, Gregory, that we do look for men to take the lead, to set the tone in a relationship, but that's not everyone's perspective. You know, I think it's a tried and tested way, you know, for people to be. But with that being said, I do think that it could vary by relationship. Someone may have a skill set or a personality or a character trait where the woman might be the initiator, the lead in that right there. So I think it's important to know what works in your relationship, to know each other, and that keeps you from putting someone in an uncomfortable or a position that they may not have been nurtured or raised to know and understand that way. So again, not disagreeing with you, but just throwing some other nuances in there for people to consider.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great segue, actually. Well, a great contribution, because men, we also have to consider that there are many seasons within the relationship. So there's the seasons before kids, after kids. Maybe there's a season where there's a financial strain, or there's a health issue, or, you know, she may be pursuing a personal goal, like going back to school. And so there's many different seasons that you're going to have within this marriage, within this relationship, that you have to be considerate of. And so, and then consider the fact she's not keeping herself away from you. It's just that for this particular season, there is something that is a distraction, or there is something that's a priority, or there's something that's preventing her from being available to you. And also have to navigate those times as well. Postpartum depression is a very real thing. And we have to be mindful of that, considerate of that. You know, we're at an age and stage now where women in our particular circle are considering or getting hysterectomies. There's you know, consideration of that. How time just changes a woman's body, and so having to be you know, considerate of where she is in life and what she is going through is also, I think, a huge responsibility that men should not take lightly. I also think, I don't know if you ever considered this before, that if you are a man who loves a woman, especially your wife, you have to understand how her menstrual cycle affects her as well. So when she is on her cycle, what does that mean for her? Is she more fatigued? Does her appetite increase, you know, or, you know, what type of effect? So you can be sensitive to that as well as she's going through that process. And so it's a lot of things to consider.
Yeah, that's good. And I like this comment that's on here from Amanda. Appreciate the comment. She said, absolutely. Her needs need to be met emotionally before she starts thinking of satisfying her physical needs, her partner's physical needs. So think about that. What we just said earlier, like it could, while a man is sitting there wondering, like, why is she not attracted to me, or why is she not, you know, making a move? she's probably she could be there thinking the same thing, right? Or going through some challenges. So I think sometimes we use the word communicate almost like it's just, just in passing, like it's really I don't think we put the weight on that. But how do you have these type conversations if she's not in the mood, he's frustrated, you're counseling them, how do you have that conversation?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a lot of different nuances to the trick to keep the fire going is never let the fire go out. Right. Sometimes the fire does go out, but as much as possible, never let the fire go out. And so by doing that is that you have to practice intimacy. And that can look like a variety of different ways. I know a lot of couples actually put sex on the calendar. They say every Thursday night is our night to have sex. And, so there's that anticipation. And for some people that may seem like, oh, that seems really rigid. That it takes the spontaneity out of it. For some couples, it creates excitement. It gives me something to look for. I know on Thursday I get to connect with my person. So there's the excitement actually builds. So that's one way. I've said this before on the show, and some people have chuckled and gave me some pushback about it, but I still do it. And so for people who don't know me, years ago, for 7 years, I was the head of the marriage ministry in the church that I went to. So I did the premarital counseling and I did the marriage counseling. And one of the things that I said that if you want counseling and you're a married couple, you have to take a shower or a bath at least once a week. At least once a week, you have to take a shower or a bath. Some couples do it 2 or 3 nights a week. And it's not so much as it is like we're doing it to have sex, as much as it says, I want to be naked and unashamed. I don't want anything that's restrictive. I want to practice intimacy. The goal is not sex when you have a shower with your partner. The goal is just to be close. Let me be close to you. Practice intimacy. One of the ways, though, I know women sometimes say, well, I'm not in the mood. How do I get in the mood? And I know that maybe this is something I do want to share with my wife or share with my husband. One of the practices that I think a woman can do that I recommend is you write down a list. Every time your husband does something that you appreciate, you write down, he took out the garbage, or he picked up the kids, or he made dinner, or he cleaned the bathroom. You get it in, you can put that in your notes in your phone, or you can get a piece of paper and you write down every good thing that your husband has done. And so say it is your Thursday night. It is the night that you two have agreed that you two will have sex. Before you walk in the house, you pull that list out and you read all of those items. You read from the top to the bottom. He made the bed. He did the laundry. He brought me flowers. He took care of the kids, whatever that may be. And so what that does is that it reminds you of the way that your husband has served you. And so it feels less of an obligation. It feels like this is just reciprocity now. He is giving to me. Now it's my time to give to him. And so that's one tool that you can use. But there's a number of ways. You can read books together. You have hobbies together. You cook together. Because here is a fact. People don't get divorced because of finances. People don't largely get divorced even because of infidelity. The number one reason people get divorced is because lack of connection. Lack of connection is really the biggest reason people get divorced. And it looks like financial, mishaps, or it looks like, we're sleeping in separate rooms, but it's the lack of connection. So whatever it takes, maybe it's bowling, go bowling together. Keeping that connection strong is really the glue.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Hey, there's a comment earlier, and I just don't want to get too far from that discussion, but she talked about different drugs and menopause as well affects women, and that goes back to understanding your mate and not looking at them as like a machine, And it's crazy how it can go from, when you're young and vibrant and just connected and you're going. And then suddenly you start to age and a couple health issues, blood pressure, diabetes, depression, a number of things. And it begins to do exactly what she's saying, different drugs and menopause as well. So that's an important thing to consider.
Definitely. And so, men needing sex is very validating to us, and I don't want women to take it too lightly. That because it is not a biological need, like we're not going to die if we don't have sex. The need for it for a man can feel as urgent as it does for a need for food, for water, and for sleep, right?
Yeah.
And if you're a human being, you have you have three basic needs, but you have four basic wants, and that's food, water, sleep, and sex. If you're a human being, food, water, sleep, those are needed for survival, but sex is a need that we all share. And so those are just human being needs. And so it doesn't mean that because your man needs this, or the want is so strong that it feels like a need, doesn't mean that we should, not make it as important, because it's not as important to you.
And I'm glad that you make that distinction. Of course, it's not going to necessarily kill us, but there are some health benefits, scientifically proven, of sex, right? When you're talking about dealing with and managing stress, that's an important part of it. A lot of illnesses are related to your levels of stress. So again, not discrediting what you're saying, but there are some health benefits when you're talking about the quality of life and your spiritual and emotional well-being. Sex does play a part in that.
Yeah. Some studies have said that men need to ejaculate 21 times a month. And when that happens, the likelihood of prostate cancer reduces 70%.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So for if you're looking for a number, I'm not, I don't want to tell anyone here's a goal, but if you're going to have a goal, 21 is the magic number. 21 is the number of times urologist or the man doctor will tell you that a man should ejaculate every month to help reduce the likelihood of him receiving prostate cancer.
Yeah, that's good info. Yeah. Good info. 21 times, ladies.
21 times. That's right. 21 times. You got get it in, ladies. Get it in.
So I want to apologize to people that's trying to watch on my page. I'm looking at why the numbers are so low, but some reason, man, Restream is not broadcasting to my personal page, so the interactions are a little down. Yeah, but I did get it copied over from the podcast page to my page, and hopefully that'll help people get us in. So appreciate you being patient while I work through this issue. So if you see me a little distracted, Gregory, that's what's going on, man.
Okay, man. I hope that helps, because we do get a lot of people, comment from your page. So hey, we want to show them some love too. When we think about intimacy in marriage, some of the other things that kind of block it, that we have to overcome is, the feeling of betrayal. Maybe there was a lie. Maybe there was some type of disappointment. And so those are some things that I think that we need to that the couples need to work through, maybe with some professional help, if there was infidelity, if there was betrayal. But oftentimes, what we do want to stay away from. Now, I do think there's legitimate reasons why a woman would probably, not make herself available. But I also think there's some petty reasons why too. And here I am about to step on some toes. When there's a payback, you didn't get me the Christmas gift that I wanted, or you didn't take me to the restaurant I wanted for my birthday. There tends to be a bit of pettiness that happens, and is used as a weapon. I didn't get what I want, so you're not going to get what you want. That right there just creates competition within a marriage and resentment in a marriage or the relationship that you're in that doesn't need to apply. It is a slow erosion of the relationship when we start playing tit for tat. I'm going to withhold something that you want. It is not fair either. It is not fair for a man to withhold understanding. It is not fair for a man to withhold.
Had a little mishap. Let me get my man Gregory back on. There you go, brother. You dropped you for a moment, but you're here.
I'm here. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay. But as I was saying, it's not fair for either partner to withhold anything that the partner sees as valuable. So communication is not fair for a man to the silent treatment. We get offended, we go silent. And so that's not fair. It's a slow erosion of the relationship. And so I say that to say that women, there has to be some type of availability that you make to your man. I'm not even suggesting that you have to go all the way, but men actually appreciate small forms of affection as well, sprinkled throughout the week, sprinkled throughout the day. So, you scratching his back, a head rub, scratching the head and whatever it just may be, some like touching that I am here, I am present. That really
It's going to
goes a
lead to
long
it, though.
way with men.
It might lead to it, though, right?
It's possible.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it's not.
Hey, so I want to ask for
could.
the ladies that's in the audience, what do you think about that? Like, if you're not in the mood, like, what are your thoughts about how to get it initiated? Or just thinking if you're having to take the lead, are you comfortable with, setting the tone, setting the mood? And I want to make sure, just because we're men, so we're thinking from our perspective, we're trying to be empathetic to women, but women out there, like, what are your thoughts on what Gregory is saying right now? Like, being petty because you didn't get your way. Are you thinking that you still need to make yourself available to your man? Put the comments in there and we'll get to them as they come in. Go ahead, Gregory.
Yeah. We want to avoid the tit for tat. We want to avoid that in marriage because eventually no one's going to be satisfied. And also setting realistic expectations. One of the things that I remember, I got 2 points about premarital counseling I want to make is that before you get married, you do want to set realistic expectations. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to try to say this as clean as I possibly can. So I think you guys will catch on what I'm saying without actually saying it. So I had a buddy of mine who was interested in a young lady who he had dated for 3 years. And so he was ready to propose. But they had some conversations about being married. He discovered that she didn't like to perform a particular job. So that was something that she thought was beneath her. She thought it was demeaning. So she didn't like to go do this particular job. And so he and I had a discussion about it. And he was like, well, do I want to marry her? Because she's never going to do this job while we're married for the rest of my life. She's never going to do this job. And so I was like, oh, okay. Well, Gerard, I actually told him, you should not marry her. The reason why is because if your love for her doesn't supersede you being able to live without this particular job, what's going to happen when conflict erodes, that's going to become a bigger issue. And when that happens, people are going to look at you and they're going to say, why did you divorce her? And she's going to have the ammunition to say, because I wouldn't do this job. And so what happened was they were married for 2 years and then they got a divorce. And sure as I said it, she went around her family and friends and said, he divorced me because I wouldn't do this job. And so setting realistic, but it was bigger than that. It was at the start, he didn't acknowledge that there was a conflict that he wasn't able to rise above. And so when conflict did arise, he used that as a weapon. I'm not getting what I want, and I can't, and so all of that occurred, and his name got tarnished within the family, within the neighborhood, as the guy who divorced his wife because his wife didn't enjoy doing a particular job.
Yeah.
And so you have to have those realistic expectations.
Yeah, well. I like Nakia. She said she completely agreed. He should not have married her. So, yeah.
Yeah. He should not have, because if he was that concerned with her not, performing this particular job, then you don't love her enough. Your love isn't big enough to be married to her, right? Yeah. Whereas some other man would have been like, "That's fine with me. I just want to be with you." Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, let's jump to a commercial. After the commercial, we'll come back and continue the discussion.
view it as a form of empowerment or like a linguistic reappropriation, as some argue that it continues to carry the weight of oppression and should be done away with immediately. How does today's music, namely rap music, play a part in the use of such a derogatory word? We'll talk about that. As we know, rap music has an immense influence.
Oh man, like we dropped Gregory right there. But while we're working on getting Gregory back on, that was one of the other shows that we got on the podcast from Marlon. Here we go. There we go, brother. Man, you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Can't get rid of me.
Yeah, we back, man.
Keep coming back.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Take over.
Listen, this is also a tricky topic, and women, you guys have so much to deal with, because as men, we're ready, and a lot of times we perceive your sexual desire and connection with us as your desire even to be with us. Sometimes men, we will question, does she even like me, because she doesn't want to go all the way with me. And so when we don't have that availability, we begin to question the relationship as a whole. Am I with the right person? But there, as we stated earlier, there are multiple reasons why women sometimes won't or don't feel comfortable with making themselves available. Maybe there's trust issues, maybe there's health issues, or maybe there's just a season in life where something is distracting you away from your person. One of the things that I have a great sympathy for when it comes to women is for lack of a better phrase, is the church effect. You have a lot of young women who are brought up in a church home, and mom and the aunties and the elders tell her sex is nasty. Don't go playing with boys. Don't let boys touch you. Don't let boys hold your hand. Boys are yucky, and boys and that's it. Boys only want one thing. And so what happens was they get conditioned for, the first 18 to 25 years of their life that closeness with a boy in some way, form, or fashion makes her a dirty girl, or makes her somehow, the fast girl. And then she meets a great guy, she gets married, and on their honeymoon, all of a sudden, abracadabra, the floodgates are supposed to open, because now you have permission to have sex. And now you're like, well, how do I change that mindset? I've been programmed all my life to think that this was off limits, that think that this is in a lot of ways was a perversion or even dirty, and it makes me lesser than. So it is quite a leap for many women to jump from being a Christian single woman to a Christian married woman. That tends to be a big issue as well. Within the Christian framework, we're often told that purity and piety is the way to go. Sex, because of the way the world has taken it, has perverted it, and we use sex to sell toasters and cars and all these things, right? But we don't see sex publicly as we should, as something that God has sanctioned for two people that really do love each other, that are within a covenant. And so we don't see it as holy and something that we should embrace. So there's oftentimes a struggle for Christian women to make themselves available to their husband as well because of that. So
yeah, that's a good perspective, and it really makes me think about how we give too much credence and too much influence to the world. Because I'm not saying that it can't, influence your mindset, but that's why it's so important for family. And Gregory, we grew up in our days with this tribal mindset where the community influenced, and the community was trustworthy, and we was careful how we showed ourselves, and how we talked in front of our elders and all that right there. So you're right, with the introduction of social media, we got it at our fingertips, and it does influence us. But I think, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but we can let ourselves off the hook sometimes when we blame the world for what it's teaching, and it's usually because we're not teaching it ourselves.
Yeah. That's exactly right. I think as we talk about men just don't want sex, but men need sex. Men need sex to the point where they feel validated from their woman.
Hey,
right?
let's do this real quick because that's a hot topic, and I think it's going to probably draw a lot of comments and attention. Let's go through some of these comments because they're kind of getting
Great.
away from us, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Hey,
absolutely.
yeah. So,
Put on my eyes so I can read.
yeah. So this is my childhood friend, man. We can count on him to bring the raw and the real. He said orgasm and ejaculation are closely linked, but technically separate events. And I agree. I agree. And if I'm understanding his aim right, orgasm is more personal connection versus the ejaculation part is just that. It is the excretion. Forgive me for my terms.
Mm-hmm.
It's the excretion of the fluid when you have sex. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, orgasm is the feeling, and ejaculation is the function. They are two different things that occur at the same time, but they are two different events that just happen to coincide at the same time.
Yeah. So appreciate Kevin for that. You know, that old movie from The Help. He said, "You're kind, you are smart, and you is important." Appreciate that, right? Hey, so this is when you're telling people how many times that men need to ejaculate or have an orgasm a month to prevent prostate cancer. It was like 21, and that was
a month. A month in 1 month. Yeah.
In 1 month. Not a week, but a month, huh?
A month. Yeah.
Deb said 21. And Queen said no thank you right there. So I'll let you take a moment just to kind of expound on that if you want.
Yeah. You know, it is as you can Google it. Please feel free to check me. Check out the data yourself. There is a great deal of biological benefit for men to have sex. It reduces stress. Of course, it should also in women if the trust is there. And then physiologically, it reduces not only the likelihood of prostate cancer, but other cancers as well, including testicular cancer. So there's a great deal of benefit from men having orgasms, multiple orgasms within a month. So, you know, hey, help a brother out. Help a brother out.
And if I understood right, did you say 21 or 27?
I said 21. The data I read said 21. It could be a different number, but 21.
Okay. Yeah. Why not go and try to overachieve and go at 27, right?
Why not? Why not?
Yeah. Candace, appreciate you tuning in. She's driving or listening. I hope we're spreading some good, interesting information for you. I'm gonna read this one from Amanda. She says, one thing I would love to have happen is the broadening of the term intimacy. Whenever we say intimacy in a relationship, our minds go straight to sex. And I see sex as the ultimate end of intimacy. When the other form of intimacy are ignored, it's harder for a woman to get to that place that her man needs her to be for sexual intimacy to be a priority for both. And I generally agree with what she's saying. But I will,
totally agree.
As I often say, that there's some caveats and some exceptions to the policy. You know, some men struggle with emotional expression, and sometimes sex brings that up. So I can see that in some men's perspective in their worlds that they're expressing themselves emotionally is the ultimate part brought on by sex. And I've had the conversation with some men before and how they was like, you know what, they can have sex and almost be silent, but that emotional expression of yourself, emotional can be the ultimate. But again, this is primarily what we was talking about earlier. We see things differently. And that's why it's important to understand your mate specifically, because that could be the case and it could not be. But talk about it and you'll know. You want to add something to that?
I totally agree with her. I think that we should look at intimacy as a bundle package, if you will, or gumbo, if you will, that does include laughter. It includes kissing. It includes trust and connection and communication. And it also includes intercourse, right? So, but it's not just a one-shot deal. And I think that men, more likely than not, we tend to just focus on that one aspect. We tend to just focus on the actual intercourse, but it's not just a one-sided kind of event. It does include multiple things.
Yeah, and just to add on again, I like that you said just focus on. And that might be how it comes out. But I can guarantee you that most men, that's not the only thing that's in his heart is the is the intercourse part. It is a deep connection for most men.
You did say something that I thought was particularly true. A lot of men have a difficult time expressing themselves in intimate moments. They have a difficult time of sharing that that they find her safe, that they find her nurturing, they find her beautiful, and just letting her know that this closeness with her is actually nourishing his soul. They do find it very difficult to share those things.
It's good.
So it's a challenge.
Yeah. Carlika, appreciate you tuning in. She said,
"Hey, Carlika,
gotta get her on. We gotta get her on. Wonderful talent. Wonderful.
She's a lot of fun. Yeah, she's great."
I'll let you read this one. So this was from the question that I asked the ladies. How do they feel about your answer? I mean, your question earlier. So I'll let you.
Yeah, she says yes, she should still make herself available when mad. That's a great perspective. We can't ignore the fact there are a lot of women out there that find making themselves available to their husband for sex is a role of a wife. There are a lot of women that do see that as a function in the marriage that a woman should provide as much as she doesn't feel disrespected, right? And so there are a lot of women who have no problems with saying, okay, my understanding her husband's sexual appetite and making herself available. Should you make yourself, this has been this has been a big question for a lot of people. Should a woman make herself sexually available when she's mad? It depends on the woman, and it depends on the framework. There are some offenses that I do think that need to be discussed and worked out before sex, but I think we have to be able to measure the offense. If he forgot to take out the trash and you're withholding sex because he forgot to take out the trash, I don't think that's a legitimate offense, right? But if there was an actual betrayal or misleading, or you're not feeling good in your spirit, then there is a reason to pause and work it out and then return. The Bible tells us that you should only withhold yourself from your spouse for a time of prayer and fasting, right? And so unless you're devoting time to God, the responsibility for both spouses, so men to be emotionally available for your wife, and for wives to be physically available to your husband, should always be there, should always be on the table, unless you're devoting time to God.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good perspective right here. So let's go to the next comment, and I'll let you read this one as well.
Yeah, women want it just as much as men. Sure. We just know how to hold out better than they can. You know what? I can agree with you on that, because there is a dynamic within a man when it comes to his sex drive. We do not have an off switch. We can't turn it off. There's always a steadiness, a readiness, if you will, to be intimate. Versus women are able to prioritize better than men when it comes to this particular aspect. And so a woman can prioritize her job, her family, the kids, or whatever may needs to be done, and put sex back, but the house can be on fire, but your woman says, babe, we got 2 minutes, we got time for a quickie. The house is on fire. He's still gonna go for that quickie. Because we just there's not an off switch for us. We're always ready for action. You know.
Yeah. And and that's awesome if you're still that, especially when you get into your late 30s and 40s and 50s, if you still got that fire. Hey, God bless you, man. Take advantage of it, right?
Yeah. Your sexual health does tie into your other health as well. So it's important to take care of it.
Yeah, you want to take this one right here?
I asked my spouse to go take a shower. I take a minute to get me together and cute as well. It allows me to change my mood and thinking. Thank you for saying that, Queen. It is the effort that we put on. Some women will put on perfume before they go to bed at night just to smell good for their man. And just the little things, some nice smelling lotion or whatever it may be. Just the little things that create. I'm making myself. No, I'm intentional about your needs, right? And that goes both ways. We can't overstate that enough. It is a two-way street here. But specifically about this topic, Wives, I think, sometimes underestimate the desire for a man to feel appreciated, to feel valued. Yes, men do want sex, but we also want to feel like we are a prize also. So when you wear our favorite color to bed, or you put on his favorite perfume, and you make yourself look cute for him, that not only says I'm hot for you, but it also says I care for you as well. And I think women, you can't, we don't want to underestimate that. Yes, we want sex, but yes, we also want to feel like we're special too.
Yeah, that's good, man. Appreciate that wisdom on that. Thanks for that comment, Queen. This is again from Nakia. It was the question that you asked earlier. Can you restate the comment? And then it was about the couple that you told not to get married.
Oh yeah, I told the couple not to get married because his love for her wasn't big enough or large enough to go without that particular job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
And so she's saying that they simply were not compatible in this area, and it's a very important part of marriage to be on the same page in that area. Agree 100%.
Yeah, it's important to know your sexual partner's schedule, if you will, and to know what the expectations are. Sadly enough, I knew another guy who divorced his wife because she only wanted sex twice a month. Twice a month wasn't he felt was valid reason to divorce her. I can't say he was wrong. I can't say he was right. Some people may say that was a foolish reason. Some people may say it was a valid reason. But what I will say is that you want to go into this relationship, especially a marriage, understanding here's what my partner's expectations are. This is what they're going to want. Because sooner or later, now you're going to be fine with it in the beginning, but somewhere down the road, somebody's going to get irritated.
Yeah, good point.
Good
point. Take heed. I love this one right here. It's from a good friend, Tanisha. She says, I can make myself sexually available if I'm mad, but if I lose emotional connection, that's a different story. And that's an important distinction. I'm glad that she brought it out like that. Those are two things. Being mad is not necessarily being emotionally detached. And I think it's important to understand that. I'll let you come in.
Oh yeah, because I've been mad at people that I love, but I still got your back. I'm mad at you right now, but I'm with you, no matter what. But one thing about women and the biggest draw for sexual attraction, man, I'm gonna tell you a little secret, okay? The biggest draw for sexual attraction for women is admiration. Once a woman loses admiration for you, then the sex is just is done. Women want to look at their man in a way that she admires. So maybe it's your intellect, maybe it's your sense of humor, your work ethic, or what it is. But once she sees you as someone that is not worthy or of respect or admiration, she loses all sexual desire. And so you want to retain the posture of I'm a man that's worthy to be admired or respected because I do this and I do this particular thing well. And that's left up to the woman to decide what that thing is. But once a woman loses that, she could be mad at you, but if she knows like this is a dude that always comes through for me, she still got you.
That's the important distinction too. I like that you use the word admiration. I know too many times I've heard people hinge it on respect. And I think respect is way on down the road after admiration. So I like that. And so why don't you take a moment and talk about how you can keep that relevant in your relationship where your woman admires you?
Well, one of the ways is being in tune with what her particular needs are. So
love language.
Yeah, true. That is good. That is an excellent way to go. Okay. Here's a tool that I give men. If you want to love your woman right, this is what you do. You first ask God, what are her needs? You make that your daily prayer. God, what are the needs of my wife? What is the needs of my woman? And then God, equip me to help fulfill those needs. That means that you are actively searching to improve her life, to enhance her life. And when she sees that you're intentional about enhancing her life, that builds a connection to her. Secondly, after that is be a man that's on purpose. Find something in life. It doesn't even matter what the thing is, but find something in life that you're committed to, that you don't waver from, that you don't compromise on. Maybe it's your physical physique. Maybe it's your finances. Maybe it's ministry. Maybe it's what jogging, bowling, but there has to be some level of discipline and purpose in your life that she can look at and go, that is a man that I can respect because when he does this thing, he's all in. So you want to first ask God, what is the needs of my woman, and equip me to help fulfill those needs, and be a man on purpose,
Yeah.
be about something, and those
Yeah.
two things kind of help keep the love going.
And I think that purpose part is going to help you bring in some of those wants of her too, right? Because I know sometimes we men, we can get in the routine of providing her needs. You got a roof, you got food in the refrigerator, our lights are on, we're in a safe community, we got transportation. But if you get there are some other things too. And I think that purpose part is where you learn her intimately, right? And you start to tailor your love to fit her specifically. So and again, just not disputing anything that you're saying, but the needs are important, but we can't overlook that some things that she want out of life as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So Deb, she was saying about us as our sex drive begins to diminish and we have other challenges, she said, especially after 40. So
I know. Isn't God funny? Because men reach their sexual peak around 25. Women reach theirs around 40 plus.
Yeah.
So as we're on the decline, women are on the incline. I just think God is up in heaven sometimes laughing, saying,
TD Jakes actually talked about that God played a cruel joke on us because essentially what you just said. And I don't know that a lot of people are aware of that or conscious of it. They might see it and wonder what's going on, but 25 years old to reach your peak, that's relatively young, right?
Yeah. And after 25, you're on the decline. I don't care if your work time is working against you. You can hit the gym, you're taking the supplements, but your body's just working. You're gonna have to do a little something extra to keep that going. But women, they're like, okay, we ready. All right, let's get it started. Like,
and I read an article about that. It's ways to offset that or to address that in your relationship. And that's, what I've learned about men as they age, that it becomes more emotional attachment than it is just physical. So understanding your mate, men, this is something to really consider. Understanding your mate, being emotionally tied to it is an aphrodisiac, if you will. So that will help you be more in tune and be able to perform at a decent level, right?
Yeah, and then also as you get older, hopefully men, as we mature, we understand that quality is better than quantity. So when you're, in your early 20s, it's just the numbers. You're trying to get your numbers up.
You was getting your numbers up in your 20s?
Just getting your numbers up. Other men, not me. Other men. Okay. So I've heard. But as you get older, the desire is for quality and not quantity. And so that I think is another sign of a mature relationship. That again, people's sexual appetites differ. It's going to be different between the husband and the wife. But if we're looking for quality, not just quantity, that can keep the fire going as well.
Come on with the fire, keep it going. And Deb said, being mad doesn't mean you stop caring. And that's kind of relating back to Tanisha's comment about being mad versus losing an emotional connection. And Deb is absolutely right. Being mad doesn't mean that you stop caring. But I do think if you leave those things unchecked, that it could turn into something bigger too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You never just want to ignore it, and I appreciate the women that are out there that actually say, you know what, regardless of how horrible the day was, he did his best. It didn't work out as planned, and I'm still not going to deny myself from him, because this is, and I don't want to be overly preachy, but marriage is a ministry. And the Bible says explicitly that your body is not your own. And so we're in this world where it's like, we're looking to be served, but not serve. Marriage, when you're in this relationship, it's about serving each other. On the good days, when I don't feel like it, when I do feel like it. And that means men, You need to serve your wife. Be more emotionally in tune. Be more connected. Let her, make her feel a sense of security. Even if you don't, I don't care if you work 12 hours. If your woman wants to talk for 3 hours, you sit there and you listen.
Yeah.
And for women, sometimes, if your man needs to feel connected to you as much as you can without feeling disrespected or degraded, make yourself available to him.
Yeah. And if you are, work through it. Don't just sit there and let it linger. You got to get that worked out. So
Absolutely.
You want that relationship to last. Man, so we spent the better part of an hour talking about that men don't just want sex, they need sex. And Gregory, when I created that title, it was meant to, be an attention grabber, to be provocative. And I know a lot of people focus on the physical part of sex and not understanding that with men, that is how we connect emotionally. And one of the things that we talked about before is that rejection can feel like betrayal, right? When you're in a relationship and you tell him no. But that's not us telling. We're not telling this so that women could say, like, I'm gonna get to him so he don't feel rejected. We're saying that whatever the issue is, whatever the challenge is, get that worked out, right? And don't be so reactive all the time. Do temperature checks, milestone checks. Where are we in our relationship? Are we pleased? Are we happy? If not, what are some things that we can do? But this is the end. I know we had a lot more that we could have said, but I want you to wrap up the discussion and give the women or the men, whoever's out there watching this, some good nuggets to take home and work on just growing their relationship.
Oh, wow. Oh, I know what. It caught me off guard. I don't even know what to say. So let's just talk off the dome with this one here.
Off guard, man.
Yeah. It's important if you're looking to give your body to somebody, be with someone who cares about your pleasure as much as they care about their own. And you want to make sure that you want to try as much as possible to keep that consistent throughout the relationship, that I am not in this relationship by myself. And if I have promised myself to you for a lifetime and we have made a covenant, that means that I have said that I'm the only restaurant that you can eat at. So let me make sure I put as many things on the menu that you like, because I want you to enjoy this journey with me. And so with that in mind, that does mean that sometimes there has to be a meeting in the middle, and sometimes there's going to be some compromising. But don't neglect that connection, because as I said earlier, the biggest reason for divorce is a loss of connection. The devil isn't after you. He's about what you two can create together. And if he can make you get distracted enough or disconnected enough that you are willing to break a covenant, then we are allowing the devil to destroy us. We are giving him a win. We're giving him a point on the board. And so we're not fighting against flesh and blood here. What we're fighting against is the spirit. And so what we want to do is keep a spirit of unity, connection, and covenant together, and realize this: men do crave sex more than women, generally. Most statistics will show more often than not. And so you're in your 40s, it tends to kind of balance out a little bit more then. But that doesn't make us depraved, but it does make us different. And so women, look at it this way. A man's sexual desire, the intensity for sexual fulfillment, is the same as the intensity for your emotional security. So the same way that you crave being loved and respected and a sense of security, he craves physical connection. It's the same amount of intensity. So let's honor each other in these relationships, and let's give each other what they need, what we each other need.
That's good, man. You always bringing the heat. I wish IC was on here to follow you up, because y'all do that little one-two punch. But if you don't mind, also just adding in there the importance of being physically attractive, because I know as we age, the body changes. You know, we don't look the same. So what I read is that there are things that make you physically attractive more than your physique, and it's the way you carry yourself, the way you honor your mate, you know, your financial stability, your emotional and spiritual health.
Right.
So can you take a moment to talk on like how to work through those changes when physical changes, but the expectation of love doesn't?
Right, dude. Listen, so my favorite singer and artist of all time is Prince. Prince is my favorite. In my opinion, he's the GOAT. And my favorite Prince song is "Adore." And Prince has a line in that song that says, "If God one day struck me blind, your beauty I would still see. Love is too weak to define just what you mean to me." And so what that lyric illustrates to me is it's not so much what I can see in you, but it's what I feel from you that really keeps me connected to you. If you want to love someone in the ultimate way, love someone on the highest level, ask yourself, if they would they still know that I love them, right? If they close their ears, would they still know that I love them? That goes beyond the physical. That goes beyond the connection. Am I serving you? Am I intentional with you? Am I connected with you? Am I anticipating your needs before you actually request them? And if God one day struck me blind, I know you still love me. I think that's a good way to go.
That's good, man. That was a whole bar, as the kids say. The bars, man. That's good. A couple of comments right from Carlika. She's saying, so true. Candy said, come on, quality, because it's still men that in this age range chasing quantity. No gas, no fuel, ammunition.
Yeah, we ain't got time for that no more.
Yeah, you know, and that's the important. I'm glad she brought that up. And this is not an indictment on Candace at all, but sometimes we got to change our market, right? If we're attracting those kind of men, if those kind of men have access to us on the regular, to you on the regular, just consider where you spending your time and figure out how to get around, you know, more respectful, more men that honor themselves so that they can honor you as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that was funny. No gas, no fuel.
Yeah. Carlika also backing you up with the quality versus quantity. So, hey, man, this was good. We appreciate the audience for always tuning in, the comments. We got to do something to get more men on. I know my classmate was on here earlier telling us the difference between ejaculation and orgasm, and we appreciate that wisdom right there. You know, it's perfect for these late night shows. But any last parting thoughts for you before we go? And if not, just go ahead and close us out, sir.
Man, I just had a great time. Listen, you know, I look forward to this every week. Just to have a little talk with the family, you know, stirring the pot, getting people to question some things, ask them things. Let's get the conversation going, you know. And so, like Gerard, and I was speaking for Gerard, listen, we love you guys. We appreciate you so much for tuning in. We hope that this was a blessing to you because you are a blessing to us. Tune in every Thursday night. Like, share, and subscribe. Put it on your calendar. Set an alarm on your phone so you don't miss us. Tell everybody to tune in. Throw a watch party. That's what we want you to do. Throw a watch party for the Floyd Shorts podcast. And we're going to bring the heat. We promise you every single time. So we hope you enjoyed tonight. Gerard, did you have anything you wanted to highlight, you wanted to talk to you about, you want to share and discuss before we close out?
Man, just again, these conversations are only possible because of our people. So thank you for tuning in. Carlika said, great conversation. My boy Brandon, I ain't seen him forever, but appreciate you tuning in. Go back and check the replay. It's a lot of good information in here, a lot of good nuggets. So go back and check us out. And again, please share. This information is only good if it's getting out to people. So, just share.
Hey, guys, we had a great time. We love y'all. Until next time, peace, love, hair grease. We out.
This one here really do it for you.